Here's the thing, 71% of people do not even get followed up with after they have made some type of inquiry via email, DM, or whatever, email. Once they've reached out, they never even get followed up with, 71%. Your business is going to continue to lose potential revenue and profitability if you do not get this down. So we're here to help you with 3 simple steps of how you can easily avoid burnout and avoid overwhelm of email management, following up with leads, clients, customers, and even status and project updates for those that you have converted. Oh, I forgot to send this, I forgot to send this contract. So we're gonna walk through these 3 simple steps, and we're not gonna get into super detail, but I want you to be able to understand that there is a solution that you can start implementing today, and you can have this done before the new year so that you're not missing out on money next year, because otherwise, why are you in business? This is step 1. You've got to get this together. So first of all, evaluate your current process. Now, if you do the process mapping strategy with us, we actually walk through this with you, so you're not having to figure out all of these pieces. We've got questions that will allow you to easily answer this. So the first thing that you want to do, the first thing that you want to do is identify the source. Where are all of your leads coming from? Do you post on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn? Do you have referrals from people that come and they're actually texting you or emailing you from other clients or other people that have referred your services or your products? What are the sources? You want to identify all the current platforms where people are currently communicating with you and inquiring about your services. And this is for leads, but you also want to do this with customers. Where are you currently talking to your customers? Are you emailing them back and forth? Do y'all have Google documents that you're sending back and forth? Do you have a CRM? Are you texting customers? How are you communicating with leads and customers? And write those down and put them in 2 separate buckets. You also want to minimize access to yourself after you have figured out where people are getting access to you. We're going to talk about how to do that so that you are not overwhelmed because everyone is coming straight to you. Also, you want to identify all frequently asked questions. What are people saying to you every time that they're coming to you? Are they trying to figure out how much your services are? Are they confused about what you offer or certain packages? Do they want to see testimonies? You need to figure out what they want and what questions are you asking over and over. And then you need to figure out what is your response to them over and over. Do you have templates? I know when I was in direct sales and I would have someone that was interested in a product or whatever, or even in the business side, I would have a response that I could easily send. Hey, go watch this video. Hey, this is what this product does. Hey, this is the next step. And I could easily copy and paste. Do you have common responses or templates or canned emails that you send based on those questions that they're asking? The next thing you want to do in this evaluation stage is segment out the types of response you're giving and figure out what that is based on. How do you do that? You want to ask yourself this question. When do I send the that I send, and why do I send it? So let me break that down. When do you send certain things? Do you only send stuff to people after they have emailed you something or after they've watched a video or after they've seen a piece of content that you put out? And then once they do that, what do you send them? Again, is it an email? Is it a text? Is it, do you send them to an FAQ page if you had it? Do you send them to your highlight stories? Do you send them to a blog post that answers questions? What do you send them and why? Typically, this is gonna fall in a couple of buckets. Let's say you are a photographer and someone comes to you and they're inquiring about services, right? Depending on which service or package they want, you're going to send a certain thing. So let's say you're a photographer and someone wants to actually get a wedding or engagement photos or something done, right? You're gonna send a certain type of response to them. But if someone just wants family portraits or Christmas portraits or senior portraits, you may send a different type of response, or you may send a proposal or whatever. So figuring out what you send and those steps, we're gonna help you actually kind of see the forest for the trees and kind of come up out of your business so you can actually get a full scope view of what is everything that I do when I'm following up in my sales process so that we can actually segment. Once we figured out the source, we need to then segment out our responses based on the why and the what, okay? If maybe it's price point. Maybe all of your customers that get such and such services, 500 or less, you do X, Y, and Z with them and you send them over here. But if they need something that's above 500 or above 1,000 or above 5,000, you now have a different process for them. It might be by revenue stream. Maybe you are an author, and if they come to your website, maybe you're an author, but you're also a coach, but you also have a course, right? So depending on which revenue stream they're inquiring about, your response would be different. So you want to segment out those responses and put them in the appropriate buckets after you've identified where they're contacting you and how much access they have to you. So let's do this. Let's actually not talk about the secret sauce. I'll come back to that in a little bit. You want to redirect them, okay? How do we minimize this access? You want to actually aggregate, okay? You want to actually, if you're on Facebook and Instagram and you got a website and you got LinkedIn, right? You want to redirect everyone to one spot. Okay, now there are some exceptions based on certain business models where this may not be the best. And in this case, we may actually help you redirect them to at least two different places. What does this look like? A central location, a central form where they're not contacting you in 50 million places. And if they do contact you there, they're being redirected. This could be as simple as having an autoresponder in your social media DMs or even in your emails. Almost like an out of office where if someone is contacting you, right, and they are inquiring about something, there's a central place where they go so that we can record and track the inquiries and track their information and collect the data from this. This could be in a spreadsheet or a Google Doc. This could be a landing page where they have to fill out a form with their name and email and whatever information that they would need. But you are sending everybody to one spot, no matter all the different marketing platforms that you're using to get your services out there or even referrals. Everyone has to still come to you in one spot. Even if you get a referral and someone texts you, but they do have access to you because your best friend gave them your number, you have one spot on your website where they can go and fill out information that is then going to set everything off. This is where a CRM is really, really helpful and it comes into place. This is your client relationship management tool. It tracks all your leads and there can be certain workflows and triggers that are assigned and then automated after being aggregated. What does this mean? Okay, well, if someone, wanted to come and get, your book, or they wanted to book you to speak, right? If you have something, a central form, and you're asking them, well, do you want a wedding or do you want baby maternity pictures? Do you want my book or do you want me to come speak or do you want coaching services, right? There will be automatic triggers and workflows that do that immediate follow-up for you. I should have written the stat down, but I think it's something like 60% of people, you actually lose that chance, that window, if you don't respond within 1 hour. Imagine if you were actually shooting a wedding or you were actually in the middle of a strategy call, you were on a 3-hour flight from coast to coast or whatever, and you could not respond during that time. What do you have set up in place so that you can actually send your leads the data that they need to actually get the information that's going to be able to convert them? My dog is now in my shot. I thought he was taking a nap, but I am not redoing this video. This is real life. So what you want to do is redirect them to a central location, preferably one that is tied to a CRM. If you don't have a CRM, you could use something like Typeform to collect the appropriate data. If you choose to not use a CRM, you will have to create a manual follow-up system. So maybe you do have some type of spreadsheet or Google Doc, but if you choose not to have a CRM that is linked to an automatic email or text or some type of automation software that is going to automatically give them the next piece of information based on what your current process is, you are going to have to go and do one more step. You're going to have to remember, okay, on Fridays, I'm doing follow-up Fridays. But again, now if someone, sent you a message or an inquiry on Monday, you've likely lost them. You've lost money because somebody else that had this system in place did follow up with them. So you can take the follow-up off of your plate by automating it. So you've evaluated what you say, how you say it, who you say it to. We've segmented that out. We've aggregated all of it into one spot, and we've collected the necessary data to give you the best leverage to actually convert them. What does that mean? This is going to help you to qualify them to actually reduce burnout. So let's say you are a janitorial company and you know that you only work with clients that are going to spend a certain amount, or you know that the square footage of their buildings that you're going to clean need to be a certain amount. You can ask certain questions once you send them to that central location to actually figure out if they're even a fit for your services. So now let's just say you get 50 leads a week and you are overwhelmed. Let's just say you get 5 and you're overwhelmed because you just can't keep up and you forgot to do email here, Facebook here, Instagram here, LinkedIn here, and Pinterest here. Okay, you forgot those 5 different touch points. Qualifying is going to reduce the fact that you are now trying to contact all 5 of those leads or all 50 of those leads. You can actually prioritize them based on the metrics and the data that you've collected. So now you're not stressed out trying to respond to 50 people when you really should have only responded to 10 qualified leads and the people that were most likely to convert. So this is something that we do after we actually help you figure out and map your process and figure out these different steps and evaluate and aggregate or whatever. We're going to ask you those questions about what do you need to know? What are they asking you that's going to help you make a decision on who to even talk to and how to prioritize your leads and track them. And this is also really great because you can track them to say, how did you hear about me? That's a simple question that we make sure that we build into that central location form, that intake form, that inquiry form for leads, because if 90% of your customers are coming from your Instagram, or if you're getting no customers from social media, but every single person in your business is coming through referral, but you're spending a lot of time during the week creating content for social media, you now have the data, right, to also avoid burnout and overwhelm by creating content that's actually not converting for you. So actually, there's so many pieces of how this is going to save you time and money. So let's talk about this. Once you collect the necessary data, now we know what to send in the automation phase. Okay, so now we can send data that they need based on what they said they wanted. If they wanted a strategy session, if they wanted a book, if they wanted to speak, right? Like if everybody that wants to speak, the next thing that you talk about when you get on the phone are the dates and location and what's the budget for the event, and you're sending your speaker writer or you're sending your media kit and headshots. Well, guess what? That can actually be automated to be sent right away. So if they have to pick between speaker A, you, and speaker B, but speaker B actually wasn't on that flight from coast to coast and they were actually able to respond first, you now just missed out on that speaking gig, right? So you want to be sure that you're able to send whatever is necessary, if it's education, if it's a proposal, if it's, oh, we need to send a link to my calendar so that you can get on the phone and talk to me. What does that look like? What needs to be sent? And what's the best platform, or what should we be using? Is it an email sequence that's automated? Luca, please don't hit this chair. Is it a call? Like I said, is it a podcast? Is it social proof? Do you actually need to send third-party evidence from past customers to them so that you're able to actually convert? You know, if your customers aren't opening email, then we may not need to send an automated email sequence, but you can set up automated text message responders that are, you know, essentially coming directly from you, right? Also, timing and frequently of automation and follow-up. This nurturing is required. 95% of people, like I said, that first come to your site or your content, they are not ready to purchase from you. They need to be educated. They need to understand what you do. They need to know how much it's going to cost. They need to trust you that you can get them those results. So that follow-up is necessary, right? But if 71% of people aren't even being followed up with the first time, they're definitely not going to be followed up with 5 or more times, which is what's required typically for a sale to occur. 80% of sales occur after 5 or more touches, follow-up appointments, calls, emails, or what have you. So you want to be sure that you have this already set up. You shouldn't have to follow up with those 10 qualified leads and have to remember or manually put it on your calendar to follow up with them 5 to 10 times, right? Those things can actually be done, you know, already for you ahead of time. And of course, it's not that you can't contact them personally, but at least you know your bases are covered and you're not missing out on money. So evaluate your process, identify where people are coming to you, figure out the source, segment your answers, figure out how you know, is it based on revenue stream? Is it based on packages? How do I respond to them? And then where are we gonna put all of these people to track them so that we can communicate with them? What do we need to get from them? What information do we need to know so that we are avoiding talking to people that were never gonna buy from us in the first place? And then what information do we need to give them? How regularly do we need to send it so that we can actually shorten the sales cycle time to actually get your customers into you? My dog is now on my hand and biting my markers. So y'all have a good night. Be sure to swipe up if you were actually in a story, or go to f28agency.com, f28agency.com. Schedule your mapping process process mapping session so that we can actually get you the form that helps your brain easily process and answer these questions. And then you'll actually get a visual workflow of how this works. Okay, so let's just go ahead and introduce you to all the people. Come here. Get up here, because I'm so scared you're going to hit this chair. I don't know if you guys can see him. I will pick him up like a baby. But we are going to make sure that you guys get the process mapped so that you can actually get a visual workflow of what's going on, so that you can actually avoid burnout, avoid the overwhelm of trying to follow up with clients and leads and potential customers. And you feel confident that once you put out that content, or once you share that testimonial, once you put out that new white paper or that blog post or that LinkedIn post, and you have someone that inquires, you're going to feel confident. The last thing that you want to do is what a friend of mine told me the other day. She was on vacation and said, you know what, I don't even want to post any content because then people are going to contact me and I don't have time to follow up with them. That's why you're in business. Get your systems together ASAP. F28 Agency would love to help. Tell them, we love to help. Want to get down now? All right, come on, get down.